There we go. All right. Well, that was a bear. Whatever job you see, you got to pick up on the farm. Sometimes you're a mechanic, sometimes you're a carpenter, whatever else is necessary. So this mow's great, the Cub Cadet, but it doesn't mow the rocks real well. But we'll get to work on that. So why don't we take a look around the farm, see what kind of progress we've made. Let's take a look at the update here on Field 1 on July 9. Just to give it the first example of the season of replanting in a bed. We have our original lettuce bed over here. We've had 4 successful harvests from, and we'll have a couple of more because the plants are being shaded by that metal reflective cloth there. But this bed is where we got our radishes, the cherryettes that you were enjoying, and the spinach that we had, a small amount of spinach that we added. The spinach bed was not a very big bed. Just take a gaze your eyes in wide wonder, Wes, at this carrot bed. How beautiful it is. It's really filled in nicely. No pesticides of any kind on it. I'm looking through, I really don't see any leaf disease. That's good. If we see some, I'll cut it off by hand and cut it out of there so it can't spread. There are a lot of diseases that these plants can get, but they haven't had it yet. If we keep them healthy and give them optimum fertilization, they'll grow fast, and you can get to that root quickly enough that you don't have a problem with the diseases. I just saw a bean beetle in there, but I'll have to scout up and down, see how many more there are. If you just see one, who cares? Or just a handful of them. It's really about how many are there. Sometimes populations of insects, they're just going to be there and they stay low and you don't do anything about it at all because you're getting your crop, you're getting enough. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, but if there's a major infestation, you're going to lose your crop, then you have to start thinking about, is there a way I can intervene and get rid of that? But let's take a quick plant biology lesson here. Take a look here is this development of the bean you can see on this cluster right here, because we start with the flowers. You can see the pretty little purple flower of this particular green bean, and then we can see here it is, the ripening ovary. The petals have fallen off. Here's the youngest one, and then we see some older ones. This is what's left of the flower now, and now it's becoming the fruit, and the seeds will be produced within that fruit. So yeah, the bean is a fruit. It's the ripened ovary of the flower. This plant here is Swiss chard. Swiss chard. A delectable green, pretty looking plant too. It's related to the beet plant. It actually is the beet plant. They are the same species of plant, except this one has been bred for its tops. They have nice, thick, solid leaves and strong leaf petioles, almost like a celery, that leaf petiole. They were bred for having a nice top. They don't make that bottom root like a beet makes. So it's the same plant, it's just been bred for a different purpose. And they make beautiful tops. This variety is called Bright Lights, and you can look at all the different colors on the different leaves. We got oranges, whites, pinks, purples. It's really pretty, and you can chop it up and eat it raw. You can steam it, cook it lightly if you cook it, and it's great. Well, these maybe it's been weeded perfectly. As you can see, I don't see a single weed in the bed. My workers did that, and I'm not a single weed, so there's no competition. That means good ear movement also. Even though it's been raining out, there's no fungus on any of these diseases. Right now the wind will dry the leaves off. And by using this cut and come against method with plants like the Swiss chard, every time you come through and thin the bed out, you get bigger leaves, more leaves, and the bed is healthier. And all the thinnings, of course, is what we eat. And so we keep coming back on this bed over and over again, and we should get a half a dozen harvests out of this bed before the season is over. It just keeps making leaves for us. It's great. It's very tasty. Here's something we haven't looked at yet this season because they were teeny tiny. But through all the heat, we planted these. We held off on it. Like I've told you in the past, I like to plant my squash and my melons like as late as possible because I want to get rapid growth and I want them to grow in the heat. So I'm not trying to push my squash and see how early can I get my squash. I want to see how long can I wait till I get them in. So now here they are, they've popped up and they're growing very rapidly in size. So now the goal here is for them to grow so quick and make their fruit rapidly that we can outcompete the insects and the fungal diseases which will inevitably show up. We want to get their share. But if you get a quick growing plant, a healthy plant, they can often tolerate the attacks that are certainly to come. But now I'm looking for squash bug. Anyone who's growing squash at home knows who I'm talking about. 3/4 of an inch, gray, you know who he is. And he's on there, and he's sucking the sap, the whole families of them, of the stems of the plants, and weakening the squash plant. And if you don't control them or do something about it, they will destroy your plants. They will eat all the leaves, and then they'll start to eat the fruit too. And your plants will just die. Then you have no squash. Best control, and I'll show you when it gets to it. I'm going to only mention it quickly here, because now it's not too early to start scouting. We do a lot of scouting in integrated pest management, IPM, which is what we use on this farm. Scouting is key. We're looking, we know the life cycle of these insects, and the squash bugs are out and looking to lay their eggs. So we go through this row, we take the time, and we look at the leaves. We look around, we scout. Each plant will check 2 or 3 leaves. We work our way down. If we find them, we now will come back with a little penknife and take our time and go through each plant and scrape the eggs off. And if you get those early eggs off these, if you keep the numbers down early, you can stop that population explosion. So, this is the mulch I was telling you about, the infrared transmitting mulch. It's green. It actually is hotter than the black plastic. It seems counterintuitive, but the reason is because it allows infrared energy through it, whereas black plastic blocks infrared energy. Because of that, the heat is hotter underneath this plastic than this green plastic. It was developed at UNH. It's a Brent Lloyd production. He also produced, he's really a plant breeder, and he produced these plants, and here they are now. Sarah's Choice melon, and you can see the planting holes. You look your way down, I see plants in every hole. So that's a good thing. We had a seed and reseed. Cutworm takes some, but again, they grow in the heat. You can see where there was some reseeding here. Well, see how much bigger these are than these? That's a reseed. That's because there was insects taking them. But rather than spray for the cutworm, I just keep throwing the seed in, and eventually we get enough plants. Now I'm actually have to go through and remove plants because we have too many plants. So I'll go through and remove and just put 1 plant per hole or 2 plants per hole as I work my way down, depending on the size of the plants. So now, after working to get plants in the hole, now I go through and remove them. Here's a tomato update on July 9. Here they are, the brandywines. They're big, they're growing at leaps and bounds, and we're keeping up with them with the trellis system. We come through, we put them up on 3 lines up now, and we'll probably add another one within a couple of days. We'll let them get up to about this tall, and at that point we'll start to probably have to cut them off and keep them down, because they want to sometimes just really get vigorous growth, and we want to concentrate the production on fruit. All these flowers, of course, are where the fruit will be, and we've already got some. You can see this little tomato right here on this brandywine. So the first clusters of developing, they all look good. All the plants look good like they always do in here. The leaves stay dry, so the fertilization is perfect. You can see the ground here is wet underneath the ground cover because right now I'm fertigating right now. So water and fertilizer is going through this tube, a very precise amount for all these plants. And this is where they really take advantage when they get this big photosynthetic surface now. Now they're really going to grow fast and make some amazing fruit in here, really unmatched. And the same thing goes, it's funny to look at our little eggplants over here. They're still so tiny. They've got these little purple flowers on them. I might take them off, I probably will, because I don't want them to make fruit yet, I want them to grow. And it's still hard to believe that I would put such small plants and give them so much room, but you'll see they're going to grow really fast eventually, get real big and make a lot of fruit. So as always, everything looks really good in here. Just got to keep stringing them, keep up with the stringing. There's never any insect problems in here. There's never any
even with the
problems.
Open sides.
Yeah. The only insect that bothers these crops anyway, I'm talking about the tomatoes when I say that, is the tomato hornworm, and they get in here sometimes, but we can usually hand pick them off. You know what I'm talking about. The big giant hornworm, might get some of those. And we do the same thing when we get Colorado potato beetle on the eggplants. We come through and we pick them off by hand. We just pick them off. There's only so many plants. We come in, take them, throw them in a bucket. Okay, our potatoes. These 2 rows, our first 2 rows are early potatoes. We've got some good growth on them. Even through the heat, we have this tube to irrigate. We're running water to them right now and fertilizer. Even with the rain, the recent heavy rain we had, the ground's still enough water in the ground. Let the soil dry, and then we're going to mound these. You know about mounding the potatoes. we're going to take the soil from here and put it over here and bury much of this stem. Where the stem is underground, this buried stem is where the potatoes are going to come off of, right off the stem. So you want to bury as much of that stem as possible. They're not coming off the roots that's underneath the ground right now here necessarily. It's about mounding. So we'll come through and do a thorough mounding and just leave 3 inches of this above the ground. The rest of that will be underground, except for this, under the soil. And the same here. And then we'll let those grow up like another 8 inches, and we'll do it again. So we get as much stem underground as we can. Here's another crop we just take a look at for the first time. Our cucumber. Here's our cucumber trellis. And this is a heavy producing type, your standard cucumber. And usually get good production on this type of trellis system. Will help them grow up the vine. And it won't be long now till they look healthy, no insect damage yet. It looks good. The sustainability, what I see it, is it's about the soil. It's not about, the most important thing is the soil itself and sustaining that. So that's my view of sustainability as a farmer. But it fits right into what you're saying. It's about natural cycles. And yeah, you don't put things in the soil that are going to poison the soil. Or the organisms organisms that make up the soil. We have some very good soil here. It's a Paxton fine sandy loam. That's what a geologist would call the chemical component of our soil. That's a very good soil. It's a soil of agricultural importance. It's the same soil that they got from the glacier over on South Road, some of the best soils in town. It shows up on the maps as the soil of agricultural importance on South Road, but we're kind of the next hill over. So we get a lot of nice stuff right up on this top hill, and then down below where the tunnel is.
Is there a lot of that in
There's not a lot of that soil around. No, that's no. Beyond that becomes like the usual, like Chatham Hollis complex, which is basically becomes a gravel. As I go further down off the side of that hill. So we just got a nice piece here. So I've been taking care of it. We're nurturing it, and we can see what you can do with that. If the soil's well taken care of and well fertilized, it can be very productive, and it's still part of the cycle. Humans are part of the cycle. The people, the members of the farm. So we're growing the food right here in town, and then they're taking it right home and eating it right here in town. So that's there's your cycle, and it's all about keeping the soil healthy though, so that we can do this, because we get some tremendous yields with minimal to zero any types of pesticide use.
That's why I love your food. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye.